والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه وبعد. So we continue discussing some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in the text we're up to names number 48 and 49. Names number 48 and 49, which are the names Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb subhanahu wa ta'ala. The names Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb subhanahu wa ta'ala. So linguistically, Hisab and Hasaba and Husbanan and Ahsabuhu and Hasban and all of these are all related to when you count something. When you count something and to know the value of something. And also, for example, if somebody says that he hasn't done the hisab of that issue. So for example, قال الكسائي ما أدري ما حسب حديثك أي ما قدره, meaning that I don't understand what's the value of what it is that you said. You said something to me, but I don't understand its point. I don't understand its value. And also ihtisab, and this comes in several hadith where the Prophet ﷺ is speaking about somebody who does something and then he has ihtisab for the ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means that he's hoping for the reward from Allah. So you can see how that relates back to counting, because what that means is that he's hoping that Allah will count and that Allah will make that action be accounted for and will make that action therefore be rewardable. So that Allah will count that action and therefore will add the rewards of that action to his hasanat. And also to have hisba, so for example, إِنَّهُ لَحَسَنٌ الْحِسْبَةُ فِي الْأَمْرِ إِذَا كَانَ حَسَنَ التَّدْبِيرِ لَهُ. So for example, and وَأَحْسَبَ الشَّيْءِ, and so for example it means that hisab can also mean that when you think good of something. So أَحْسَبَهُ الشَّيْء خَيْرًا, I estimate something as being good. And also one of the more common understandings, specifically as it relates to the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb azza wa jal, it means that something is considered sufficient. أحسبني الشيء أي كفاني, so that something is enough for me, that thing is sufficient for me. And in English it just doesn't come across that well. It doesn't sound that effective when you say this is enough. But really, if you think about that, that's actually a very, very effective and powerful statement. If somebody brings you a huge plate of food, there's no way that you can finish all of that food. That's enough, please. I can't take anymore. I cannot, this is way more than what I need, essentially, right? So in English, it makes it sound like this is enough, like that's fine, I don't need any more, something like that. But in Arabic, there's a different meaning. And so therefore, when you say that Allah has the name Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we translate it in English as He is enough for us, what that really means is that there is nobody that can do anything more for us. That He will take care of everything for us, subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb subhanahu wa ta'ala. And and I've never been able to come up with a better translation for this. To say that Allah is enough for you. I can't come up with any better. If anybody can, maybe we can talk about it at the end of the session. Maybe there's a better way to say that Allah is sufficient, Allah is enough, that we won't need anybody else after if we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But again, it just doesn't come across as that impactful just by virtue of the fact that there's some phrase or something that's missing in English that is very present in Arabic that means that you don't need anybody else if you have Allah Azza wa Jal. That Allah Azza wa Jal will handle everything for you. That Allah Azza wa Jal is, I'm missing some word or some phrase somehow in English when I'm trying to come across with this meaning. And so when you explain this, you might say to be enough of something, in other words, that somebody has given him so much that he never thinks of asking anybody else, right? That if you say, this person has taken care of me in every way, this person is enough for me. Again, in English, it just doesn't give that impact, but what that means is that this person has taken care of everything that I need, that I don't need to ask anybody else. I don't need to refer to anybody else. I'm not even thinking about asking anybody else after this point, right? But again, there's something that's missing in English that, like in a word or in a short phrase, that really have that impactful meaning, and I haven't yet been able to come up with it. And of course, حسبك الله ومن اتبعك من المؤمنين يا أيها النبي حسبك الله ومن اتبعك من المؤمنين. Allah says to the Prophet ﷺ that Allah is enough for you. What that means is that you won't need anybody else if you have Allah and all of the believers who have followed you as well. If you have Allah, you have support from the believers, then what else do you need? What other more powerful support or protection is there once you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And so, again, we can discuss it more in more detail later, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا لَهُ الْحُكْمُ وَهُوَ أَسْرَعُ الْحَاسِبِينَ. doesn't the justice and the rulingship, doesn't it belong to him? وَهُوَ أَسْرَعُ الْحَاسِبِينَ. He's the fastest in taking to account, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the name Al-Haasib, He says, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. It's enough that Allah is Haasib. So you have the name that He is Haasib, or He is Asra'ul Hasibin, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have the name Al-Haasib, azza wa jal. And so sometimes you'll find somebody whose name is Abdul-Haasib. And this is again one of the most beautiful things, that you name your son after one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you name your daughter in the female form of that as well. So again, if we understand, for example, Imam Jarir rahimahullah ta'ala, Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. It means that Allah is enough to be a witness over a people. Once that Allah is enough of a witness once the people give the orphans their money. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا, meaning what other accounting or who else do you need to know the fact that you have given the orphans their money? وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. Or on the opposite side, if somebody decides not to give the orphan the money that's due to them, then who else is there that is more powerful, that they should be more scared of? The fact that Allah Himself has taken this action into account, that that person hasn't given the orphan that duty. Similarly, of the meanings of the name Al-Haasib subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah is Al-Hafiz, He's the caretaker. Because after all, if Allah is taking into account every single little thing that everybody is doing, and He is also taking in care and taking into account every single need that everybody has, so therefore one of the meanings of Al-Haasib is the fact that He is the caretaker of everything that you need, of every molecule, of every cell, of every white blood cell, every red blood cell in your body, everything that is, every disease and every virus and every bacteria that's coming in, Allah has taken care of each and every one of those in its own way. So therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Haasib also. Also similarly, Al-Haasib also indicates a very threatening meaning, which is that Allah will take care of the payback for the people's actions too. So not only that Allah will take care of giving them the reward for what the people have done, but also if people have done sins, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very capable, and that He will take care of the payback that anybody deserves by virtue of the fact that the sins or the oppression or the wrongdoing that they've done to somebody else. So just like so many names, we recognize that there is an aspect of it or an angle of it that indicates reward, and you're having hope, you're having hopefulness in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that angle, but at the same time you have a lot of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by virtue of the fact that He's all-seeing. It indicates positive things, that He's all-seeing of the good that I've done, but it indicates very scary things as well, that He's all-seeing of every evil and every sin that I've done as well at the same time also. So Al-Haasib and Al-Haasib subhanahu wa ta'ala indicate both of these types of meanings. Similarly, other scholars says وأصل الحسيب. They said وأصل الحسيب في هذا الموضع عندي فاعل من الحساب الذي هو في معنى الإحصاء. Al-Ihsa, to take into account every single final little tiny specific detail. So that's also included in that as well. Ihsa, أحصى كل شيء عددا. Allah counts and specifies down to every little tiny final detail. He takes all of those into account as well. And also Al-Haasib, He's Al-Mukafi, that He is the one who is, again, how do you better translate this other than to say that He is enough. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your side, if Allah is taking care of your needs, if He's taking care of your food, He's taking care of your sustenance, He's taking care of whatever your needs are, then who else do you need after that? Who else could you possibly want to have on your side after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Al-Haasib? And also, the fact that Allah is Al-Haasib indicates that He takes people into account and He is not taken into account. Nobody takes Him into account, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He knows all of their issues in detail, and they don't know about Him other than whatever He has informed us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Isa alayhi salam will say on the day of judgment, تَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِي وَلَا أَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِكَ. You know what's within me, and I don't know what is within you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know what is within you. So Al-Haasib and Al-Hisab also indicate that He will hold everybody else to account, and nobody else will hold Him into account, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course that He knows everything about them, and they only know about Him whatever He's decided to tell them. Also the fact that Al-Haasib has many indications, because after all, if Allah is going to take people into account, then therefore He is all-knowing. And He is enough for those who make tawakkul. If we have Allah on our side, and we've done our part, we've done our full effort, and then we have turned the issue over to Allah. If I've turned my issue and my matter over to Allah, therefore I've done tawakkul, I've done my proper due diligence, and then I have turned the matter over to Allah, then really Allah is enough. Who else would you want to have on your side? That Allah will take care of everything. Also the fact that Allah gives the payback, so it has multiple meanings which, he's basically going through different quotes from different scholars which more or less revolve around the same central theme, which is that Allah is enough, He's sufficient. He takes into account also that people always need Allah, they cannot exist without Him, and the fact that Allah does not need any of the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need any of the creation in any way, in any shape or form, subhanahu wa ta'ala. If people think that somebody else is enough for them, then they're wrong. If anybody else says, it's fine, I don't need to make dua, I don't need to make salah, I don't need, because I have this, because I have enough money, because I'm from a rich family, because I'm from powerful, because, no, they're absolutely wrong. They're absolutely wrong. And several examples that that the scholar gave. So he says, don't think that if you need food, if you need water, etc., then that means that you are in need of somebody other than Him. Rather, Allah is the one who gave us that food. He's the one who gave us that water. Similarly, a baby needs its mother. Does it mean that the baby is now depending on somebody other than Allah? No, because Allah created the mother. So Allah created He's the one who is taking care of that creation, and He's also creating others to take care of that creation. So everything goes back to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the baby turns to its mother for milk, for its needs, because it's hungry, because it's tired, because it needs to be changed, or whatever that is, that baby, Allah created, the one who takes care of that baby in every way as well. So He really is doing ahsa kulla shay'in adada. He really is taking care of every single finite, tiny little detail, because Allah not only created the baby and He takes care of all of its needs directly, indirectly, He also created the one who handles all of that in an indirect manner as well. So all of these means, these are all just means because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created those things. And so, for example, the baby needs that mother, needs the mother's milk that comes from that mother. Where did the mother come from? She came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And where did the milk come from? Allah created all of this in an amazing way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the food, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the means, He created the sustenance. And so Allah is taking care of both of them also. So therefore Allah alone is really enough for everyone. Again, however best that you want to translate that. Allah is enough for you and is enough for the believers. Therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu hasbuka Allahu wa man ittaba'aka minal mu'mineen. That Allah He's telling the believer, Allah is enough for you and He's enough for the believers also, those who follow you as well. Meaning that, O Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you have Allah on your side, you don't need anybody. And as for the believers also, they recognize that if they have Allah on their side as well, they don't need anybody else also at the same time. So, a couple of things as we wrap up, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is hidden from Him. Because He is Al-Haasib, so therefore, and He is Al-Haseeb, so therefore that means that He is all-knowing, because after all He's holding everybody to account. That means there is also nothing hidden from Him. No creation can hide from Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. No action is hidden from Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the Day of Judgment, the disbelievers will say, وَوَضَعَ الْكِتَابُ فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ مِمَّا فِيهِ وَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَتَنَا مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. The disbelievers, the criminals, they will be so sad and they'll be so upset because they get their books, they get that account, and it has everything in it. لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها. That book has, it didn't leave anything, not whether it was small or it was big, without it being held exactly and precisely detailed and being accurate in everything. إلا أحصاها. وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا. And they find everything that they've done, they find it right there, they find it in that book. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. And your master doesn't do wrong to anybody, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore this goes back to that point that Allah is Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb. We can see how it's in a very positive way. If you've done something good, but people don't recognize it. If you've done something excellent, but perhaps you didn't get paid, or you were excellent to people, and that other person took advantage of you. You worked hard, and that employer decided he's not going to pay you. Or that person decided, yeah, that's fine, what are you going to do? What are you going to go to the police? What are you going to do? I'm just going to take your money and I'm just going to go. Who do you have to turn to? It's the one who is Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that Allah never lets any tiny thing go without it being accounted for, without it being written down. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. So therefore it's in a very positive way, and if we've done wrong to somebody, then it is in a very threatening way as well at the same time. Also, the fact that Allah is Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb means that taking something or taking somebody into account is not difficult for Him at all in any way. And With that, inshallah, we will end as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا خَلْقُكُمْ وَلَا بَعْثُكُمْ إِلَّا كَنَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. Creating you and bringing you back is just like for him to create any one of his creation. Just to create one creation or have that creation die and bring him back, Allah is telling us to create all of us and to have us all pass away and then He brings us all back to life is just as easy for Him as it was for Him to just create one creation and bring that one creation back to life as well. So if Allah can do all of this, then He can definitely hold us into account. He definitely knows all of our details. He definitely knows all of our issues, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is definitely Al-Haasib Al-Haseeb, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jalla sha'nuhu wa taqaddasat asma'uh. If there's any comment or suggestion. I'm sorry, if there's any comment or suggestion from the Citra side as well, I guess, please feel free to speak. طيب إن شاء الله then we'll end with that. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Yes.
Oh, I thought we were done just with the sections.
No, we're done with it.
So okay, then I got a question.
Okay, sure.
So the all along, I've always thought Al-Haasib just meant, that he was like the most precise accountant of all the deeds and everything that we do. But this is really new to me, that it is implications of his infinite knowledge, and I'm still trying to understand though the caretaker aspect.
Yeah, because he's Al-Haasib Al-Haseeb, so he's taking into account everything that we need. Not just accounting the deeds that we do, but also the things that we need as well. Then not only does he, count each and every need that we have, but then he also provides us for each and every one of those needs at the same time. Whether it's something directly or whether it's indirectly through somebody else, or in whichever process, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that indicates, of course, that so many names have so much overlap between each other. Because we do have overlaps of the name Al-Hafiz, and Al-Samir, and Al-Alim, and Al-Basir, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Al-Haasib and Al-Haseeb has its own section, but you can see how other names also overlap in the meaning of that name as well.
Okay, that clarifies it. Thank you.
Can the Haseeb described by Kafi or Kifaya?
Yes. But it's interesting, I don't know if Al-Kafi is one of the names of Allah. And it seems that Al-Haseeb probably sort of supersedes that name. And I don't know enough Arabic language to be able to say that if Al-Kafi is as positive a meaning as Al-Haasib and Al-Haasib is. That would be an excellent question for a grammarian, or somebody who's very well versed in Arabic poetry from that time. Which just goes to show, like, there's so many areas of specialization in Islamic studies. Somebody can specialize just in Jahili poetry and the Arabic language from that time and say, yeah, Al-Kafi means this, but it really doesn't fit Allah's name because that's not how the Arabs used it. But Al-Haasib and Al-Haasib does fit him because of the way that they use that word instead. And that's its own field. I mean, it's a massive art, and only some specialize in that. Very, very few people, but there are some who specialize in it. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.